let me see if I can basically bridge both the things that we're trying to do. I think to the extent that I guess if you have the RChain Improvement Process document, please do point us to that also. And to Jim's point, I am definitely thinking of a team, not just one person running this, but how I would do that is we could actually start using the RChain Improvement Process even for the testing within the team, and then basically debug it, so to speak, debug the process. If we say, okay, well, something in the process is not working right or whatever, we may be able to modify, improve that document. Keeping in your perspective that really, would that be relevant once there is a mainnet or not? Right? I mean, so I think I'm okay with that. We can just play with that. We can take the document where it is and then try to use it and see, and definitely keep the two aspects of we're pre-mainnet versus post-mainnet in mind, while still trying to improve it where possible, where we think it would be an issue that's relevant. So
I think that's great.
That's one thing. The other thing is, as far as Jira versus GitHub, I don't want to create more work for you or your team. I believe the two have a two-way link, right? There is a two-way GitHub to Jira link if we were to use GitHub for people to report issues, and then they could go into the Jira someplace somehow.
Yes, there is. And in fact, it's kind of funny. Right now, I'm holding out a carrot in front of the team. They don't like Jira at all. And they would like to move to GitHub. But the carrot is deliver Mercury, and then we'll talk.
Okay. Yeah, I would imagine you don't want a Jira to GitHub migration right at this time with very short deadline. So I think if the two-way link is there, we can start using the GitHub, and then the things can go into and out of Jira for these items anyways. And if more and more developers slowly migrate to using the GitHub, and then the Jira goes away at some point, I guess that may be fine. But if the two-way link is there from your perspective, it may not matter much whether a particular developer is using Jira or GitHub, though that's a big assumption. I mean, I don't know for sure that it's as smooth and nice as that. But
I don't either, and I don't know that we need to get bogged down with it. If the community would prefer that the improvement process be tracked in GitHub, I don't have any concerns about that. Even if we continue to use Jira, I don't have any concerns about that.
Okay.
Do you think any of your developers would be concerned about it?
No, I don't, because as part of the process of improvement, it's the developers are not involved until it's time to develop. We're talking about a process that touches a lot of other people well before developers get involved. It may be I can imagine a scenario. Let's imagine a scenario where we are doing the improvement process in GitHub, and then we are, for whatever reasons, we may still be using Jira as a development team. Bridging the two at that point, from a work management perspective, I have zero concern about. I would say this, that I look to you community members, especially people who are likely to be involved in the improvement process. If you would prefer to use GitHub, please say so, and let's do that. And if you would not, please say so and let's use Jira, but let's make a decision fairly soon of what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think GitHub might make sense only because as we bring more and more people filing issues, I think Jira may have a user or license issue or something like that. At that point, I mean, you need to basically authenticate people into that and all that. Right?
Yeah, agreed. So.
Well, although I think with Jira, right, because we're open source, we could.
You currently have an open source license, so anybody can sign in. I've observed in my work that developers in particular like to keep issues closer to the code.
I mean, I've done both, and actually using issues inside of GitHub is pretty good. And you're right, it's really right there with the code. We would have a little bit of a fork from the history being in Jira, but I don't think that's a major.
I'm not concerned about that, especially for this particular process.
Yeah. So.
Right. I'll just ask one other question of Kelly and then shut up. There was a comment or a question that came up earlier about this cost accounting and the financial model. Kelly, are you working on both the financial model and the tooling or code to support that financial model, or you're just working on the cost accounting framework and code, but not necessarily the financial model?
The answer to both those questions, we're working on both. Both of those fall under the purview of the development team right now. We are working, the work I'm currently managing is the delivery of the validation protocol that includes rewards and incentives and slashing. And there are, in the document that we are working from, there are some economic model constants that are still undefined. We, at this point, as a development team, we look to the co-op, and right now that seems to be Greg, to define those constants. So for example, constants related to transaction, I don't want to misspeak, especially since I'm being recorded. So I don't want to run the risk of misspeaking. There are some financial constants in the validation protocol that are currently undefined. They do need definition. The conversations that I've been a part of to date, and to date being well over a year, the people involved in those conversations, the only people that are left working on this project are Kent and Greg.
Okay, so that's basically another item that I was kind of trying to reinitiate to make sure the conversations happen and the discussions happen so that those things are defined, both what it might look like initially and what it might look like as the number of users or transactions increases and all that kind of stuff. Because I think what we might do a little bit more promotional type of stuff initially, evolving over time. So basically it's an optimization between scaling and value to the co-op and keeping the customers happy, all those, it's a multidimensional optimization type of thing. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to kind of get a team going to look at that. So I just want to make sure that I'm not duplicating something that somebody is already doing. So thanks for letting me know where that is. And I guess that's another thing, maybe we can have a separate conversation to say what's the right way to structure the team and the discussion and the conversation.
Okay.
Makes sense.
An idea listening to this conversation, Raul, would be that we could, and this is kind of covering a variety of things, but the idea to use the improvement process to give it a workout before we really need it, I think is excellent, and I would fully support that and be happy to participate in that. The idea to deliver games to harden and test the network, also excellent. Happy to participate in that as well. We could even consider pivoting our dedicated Thursday test time towards that effort. We're pretty stale there in terms of feature testing because we're done with most of the features. So that's a place and an audience that we could use if we wanted to. And then the other part is I also appreciate your recognition that the economic model is critical, and it's I've just pointed a link here in the chat to what's documented to date, and it calls out under the definition sections those constants that I'm aware of that are yet undefined and that we have not defined in the platform at this point.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
So now I'll stop hogging the meeting.
So who else do we have here? Choose the next person, Ralph.
Gary, why don't you go? Since you're recording, I know you're here.
Okay, I'm going to turn my camera on while I'm speaking. I don't think you can see it now unless you turn your camera on. That's a
We see
change.
you. Yeah, no, we see you. At least I see
I
you.
see you. I see you.
You do?
I do.
Okay, something's changed for me in the Zoom setup, so we need to look at that, Jim. I'm not sure what it is, but I've been working on this week Keybase, and I'll just share what we've been doing over there. Here's our rolling channel and a special interest channel I created called JJ Bigford. Rolling open money channel. This is a message from me on Facebook. You're not interested in that. But we're looking at integrating MacRobot over here on Keybase. And I just want to show you some of these channels that really blew me away. Now I'm.
I would point out that there's Johnny Dabrowski and some other people that are coming into Digital Life Collective and into RChain. We have the blockchain artist who's come in, as well as another project. But with the Keybase, we could do secure transactions using Robot, and we may be able to get some funding to do that. And that will be a transitional thing. And Keybase, to me, is a great model of what we want to build on RChain, and it can stand in for those pieces until those pieces are ready.
Okay, I want to tell you what you're seeing here on the screen. This is a chat channel where to enter a message, you have to send some lumen, some amount of lumen to the bot that runs this channel. And it's done just for demonstration purposes right now. If you send more than the minimum with a message, it creates an account for you in the channel, and you can send messages until it runs out. And I think I can enter one in here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the bot delete it, but testing. I don't have any money in there. It's, oh, okay, see, it deleted it. But if I were to attach money to that message, which is very easy, especially at the using at the command line, and we get command line access to Keybase. So very excited about this. I'll stop now and hand the baton. Well, I want to say one thing. We have a new member with us. I've got him here in Zoom. We met over on Keybase. He's excited about what he sees. He's very interested in production of audio and video material. He's seen our blog, our audio blog that RChain puts up. And anyway, welcome, the prognosticator. Feel free to jump in or introduce yourself. But Rel lost the connection. Loves the name. Kelly loves your name, prognosticator. Yeah, I agree. But anyway.
Okay, well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Hey, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me into at least to kind of be the observer here, haha, of the inner circle of what's going on with this building of this project. And a lot of very exciting, a lot of mature heads, and right now I'm just doing more listening than I am talking, but I'm truly enjoying it. And you guys.
All right, welcome. All right, I'll pass the baton to Bill Swan.
Thanks, Gary. I don't particularly have anything to share at this time, so I will go ahead and pass it to Fabian.
Nothing really in particular to share. Maybe relevant to the conversation, though, is the whole idea around security. Ned is aware of this. I've been having a conversation with a security specialist that I'm planning to introduce to Greg sometime soon. He went into the GitHub and he built up everything over there within a day. And he builds out security systems for governments and banks and all sorts of things. And I've known him for about 30 years. So I'll be bringing him over to Mr. Meredith hopefully next week. And if it's the right thing, I'm bringing him over to Kelly so we can have a deeper conversation. That's all I got. I'll hand the talking stick over to Ian Bloom.
Oh, nothing to share right now. Thank you.
Daryl, you want to go next?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I've been kind of active over the last couple of weeks trying to kind of wrap my head around where the membership is at and how to improve morale. I've just been kind of doing a lot of kind of deeper digging and meetings with people and stuff. And basically what I'm hoping to try to do in the near future, hopefully not super near future, but is try to kind of wrap my head around the kind of environment of paranoia that the executive seems to have, for valid reasons, I'll say, and how to kind of clear up the membership so that we are more united. So that's kind of what it sounds very esoteric and airy-fairy, but that's kind of what I've been focusing on.
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you? I'm not sure what you mean when you say the executive and the paranoia.
So basically, there's so much mistrust going on with the community that I want to try to kind of do what I can to try to help solve. So there's some really great people who are kind of either have left or just kind of sitting on the sidelines until certain things get kind of solved and figured out. And then there is like just a sense of concern. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can, and there's basically just a sense of concern from Greg about a willingness to let go of the leash, so to speak, or a willingness to kind of have others have a say. And I think that if we were able to define the why of RChain better, I think that that would be a first step towards bridging that crucial gap that needs to be bridged.
I hear you, Daryl, and I mean, there's certainly merit in that, and we've discussed it before. It's a difficult problem because RChain is so many different things for different people.
Yeah.
Greg has the greatest vision as far as any of us can see. Everyone has part of that. I think what is necessary to relieve the tension is to have the membership self-organize. And this is why it's important that we all participate in the call to action, and we cooperate by listing our activities there, putting our name by activities where we don't have anybody, and given a functional membership organization, I don't think Greg will have any problem releasing the reins. But, you know, if the way it is a disorganized mob, I wouldn't certainly not, you know, release any reins at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Like, yeah, I guess, you know, just for me, I think let's put it this way, and this is going to be really kind of a dangerous road to walk here, but I think there are certain factions that don't have the greater vision of helping solve global warming, let's put it that way, in mind. I mean, so I think that, and it's not even just factions, there's a lot of people who are involved with RChain because they think that the price would go up and it would be really great because they'd make a lot of money.
Yeah, well, to some extent, you know, they have some belief in RChain. They think something's right about it. I mean, the token holders are a stakeholder, certainly, and we need to, consider them as a stakeholder. Of course, they want to, you know, many of them want total control, and that's not what, you know, in a cooperative, it's a it's a democratic organization, and while I think that it's important that we get stockholder sentiment and that it's part of our multi-branch governance structure, I don't think we can try to, we need to help them organize, and we have the rock holders channel in the Colab now, where the rock holders can organize, and I think if they're organized, they'll have a much clearer and more powerful position within the limits of the governance structure we're setting up, the multi-stakeholder governance. So I think, again, that organization is there, and we have to sort of channel these people into organizing the rock holders. I think there's a lot of things that we rock holders could do. We're trying to set up pools for buying rocks from the cooperative. There's also the idea of creating a staking pool by collecting clean rock and offering a roll token, RHOL, to show their ownership in the pool. Well, in any case, in terms of trading and other things, I think that, the rock holders can do a lot of work, and they also can influence the co-op to things that are in their interest, that don't violate the corporate policy of not being part of the market. Rather than change that, they need to organize separately in order to accomplish those goals.
I just put a document in the chat of kind of what I'm talking about. It's just this really simple little one-page document that's 4 patterns of high-functioning groups, how successful groups collaborate to achieve great outcomes. Why do some groups succeed while others fail? This is the underlying question group coordinators and facilitators grapple with as they seek to help people do better work together. From volunteer activist groups to companies to governance boards. In our work with people around the world, time and time again, we see a few factors that all successful groups have in common. So what sets great groups apart from the rest? Number 1, successful groups know their why. All successful groups share a common purpose that unites members in their contributions. Each member knows the why behind their efforts, which motivates them to bring their best selves to work. And I guess I just haven't heard a lot of why lately. So,
well, see, here's the thing. Each stakeholder group has their own whys, but they have a common why. Is an effective, efficient, delivered, operational RChain platform. Okay, that's the common why that we have. And other than that, there's many different whys that people have. And that's why we have the separate stakeholder communities so that they can be successful independently. And they don't have to you can't scale if you have, if everyone has to be in alignment and use the exact same vocabulary and, there has to be, the solidarity has to have an organic nature.
I think part of the issue for me is this kind of obsession that many people have with the magical, mystical decentralization word, which is an ideal that is made of unobtainium. And I think that when people kind of are too concerned with the notion that we are a decentralized organization, then there's no organizing going on. There has to be some type of leadership. There has to be some type of hierarchy and structure. Of course, that's what we're trying to work on with the governance thing. I love your mantra, Jim, where it's the board delegates to the committees delegate to the working groups delegate to the members. So, I like that kind of, to me, that really helps me define a type of structure that will allow for people who are unified on an idea to kind of work on them together. But I think that other organizations that I look up to, like for example, the Mozilla Foundation, they have a really beautifully written manifesto that just kind of helps center everybody's thoughts as to kind of why they're there. And I share Greg's concern about climate change. And I also share the audacity to think that we can actually create a system of collective intelligence, well structured, that can allow for rapid community building and rapid decision making that can ripple around the world and help us wake up to a global consciousness. Again, that sounds really hippie, but it's why I'm here. That's my why. And so I think that I guess I'm just saying, like, if we can come up with some type of manifesto, then there's going to be certain people that will leave. And I'm talking about, sorry, I should really make this clear. I'm talking about the RChain co-op, not the RChain network. And I think that is something that also has to be kind of really clearly defined. I'm not necessarily talking about the protocol. However, the work we do as the co-op, if we have a really clearly focused why, can help improve the protocol.
Yeah.
Guys,
think it's
I just want to do a meeting process check. I think there are a couple of people that have not spoken, and we have only 11 minutes left in the hour. Just want to let you know.
Okay, yes, sorry, Rob. I totally took over. I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh, I guess it's my turn to say, okay, who else hasn't been?
So we didn't actually ask Kelly to, she was responding to what I was asking, but she has not spoken about what's on her mind. And Ned, I don't know if you also wanted to go.
Mine is fast. I'm largely here. I haven't been to this meeting in a few weeks, and I was here out of curiosity to hear what was on your mind and to be supportive if possible. So nothing different.
Did you need anything else from the community, Kelly, that we didn't discuss so far?
No. I mean, the things that are top of mind for me and the development team are, can we get it done in the runway that we have left to do it? It's going to be tight.
Okay, Ned, you want to go?
No, I'm good. I mean, I just had those tech questions. I apologize for putting Kelly on the firing line between me and Rao this morning, but we appreciate your attendance. And yep, so that's really all I have. And let's see, I think, Bill, did you go?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So I didn't have anything particular to share, but I'll just say that a lot of what Daryl was sharing is I think is valid and really good points. And when I've thought about some of that before, and particularly once we get to launch point and you're looking at a global platform and the problems or the challenges that's going to bring upon us. I mean, here we are. We're largely a group of Western civilization people here that are in this, members meeting speaking English. And you look at where a good portion of our financing has come for is in the eastern part of the world and speaking another language of another culture and perhaps even other expectations and such. And how are we going to be structured in such a way that we're going to be able to support and listen to their input? When we look at the process improvements that need to take place, I mean, we're going to have a much bigger captive audience, and that we're going to be trying to service, and it's going to be significant in terms of how we're going to try and accommodate them.
Right. We need to have those bridges between them. Now, Greg and I are on the Chinese We channel, and, like we're celebrities there. But I think these connections between the communities are so important to have to get a unified collective being out of the RChain community. And all of this organization is what's going to make that be effective as we scale, because without it, we are not going to, groups historically just disintegrate. They blow up at the Dunbar number. I guess I didn't go. I've been in New York for over 2 weeks, or the New York area. I'm at my son's house in South New Jersey, sitting outside his camper. I've been camping here for a few days. I fly back tomorrow. It's sort of out of internet, terrible internet here. But this week's meetings in New York have been awesome, and a lot of energy of a lot of decentralized communities is coming together, and they're cooperating, and many of them are coming into the Digital Life Collective. There's I can't even think of the names of the projects now, We have half a dozen people that are coming into RChain, and they're really seriously looking at cooperation at scale, and I think they'll be naturally drawn into RChain, and it's very positive. That's all. Does leave out anyone else?
Great, Jim. Ned, or anybody else, I wanted to ask, who else can I sign up for the hardening of the system and the RChain improvement process bit? Prognosticator, Ned, Gary.
Can you? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry.
Well, basically, what I'm trying to do is get a team or teams together to work through this thing that Kelly was talking about in terms of what games or what code can be sent as games against the testnet to try to crash it, and does improve its hardness. That's one part of that. And then as a part of that, try to use the RChain improvement process document and see if it's working or not and how to improve that. So those are the two.
Yeah.
Two different initiatives. So for the first one, happy to be on that committee, and we need some Rolang programmers, right, to write the code that's going to implement those test cases.
Right.
And then we have to decide how we're going to pay people. Now, way back, we had talked about kind of a testing reward system that may work. We could also come up with a way to hire testers and make it a full-time gig, which may be what's needed to get to mainnet. But then, of course, we get back to the whole funds and
So let me kind of at least give you a couple of pointers on that. Basically, we're dealing with a no fund situation at least until after mainnet, or unless something changes between now and then. The incentivized testnet, I had a couple of conversations, both with Phil, who I think was proposing that, as well as with Greg. The concern that Greg had was that basically it'll be gamed for incentives rather than for quality assurance, is what Greg was worried about. So he's saying, just because people go off and do things, we need to ensure that actually it's improving the quality. So I think that's the challenge there, is to say, how do we make sure that it is designed in such a way that it's about quality assurance, not so much about the incentives part. And maybe what we can do is not having incentives is a good start there, and then.
Okay, so unfortunately we have the community meeting in a couple minutes, but we definitely need to drill down on this more. So if you want to set something up for next week.
Yeah, I will look at the calendar and see which of the existing meetings maybe we can hijack for this purpose, like Kelly was saying, or add new meetings. My preference is to use existing.
You could look. I think you could see my calendar. If you need access to it, let me know. I think maybe we should have a quick touch base before and just kind of hash some of the stuff out, and then before we actually start opening it up.
Sounds good.
I don't know if if this is good for me to be there, but I would like to attend. This sounds like something the McRobot team might want to look into.
That'd be great.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I would certainly be involved in both in organizing and in some Rolang, at least prototyping.
Excellent.
Yeah. Wonderful.
All right, cool. That's
all right.
I think Barry and Jim would be in on this one.
All right.
All right. So off to the community meeting. I'll see you guys over there. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Later. Bye. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.